So initially, his pleasure lies in the gratification that he gains in the locomotive power in parts, but now he finds gratification in the unified image of his body. It's gratifying. He is gratifyingly, he finds himself as a unified image in the mirror. This is why Lacan calls it imaginary stage, because he bases it on the images a child sees, that a child grows from the images that he sees in the mirror. Now, the second part of this stage, imaginary stage, is that all this is yet imaginary. Why imaginary? Because he is only imagining it. Not just that it's about the images in the mirror, but also that he is imagining it by watching things in the mirror. Therefore, it's imaginary. So the blurring of the subject object is it completely removed. The blurring of the subject object relationship. The blurring, the distinction continues because it's still the imaginary sensation of the body from the images in the mirror, which is again not real, not yet real. He doesn't yet figure out the difference between the subject and the object, the bodies being different, because he has only seen himself in the mirror, whereas he has seen the object, the mother, in the real sense with his eyes, in the real sense. He hasn't seen himself in reality. So the blurring of subject object remains in imaginary state even after the gaining of the idea, the sense of I, even if the building up of ego begins. But the distinction is not removed yet. Distinction between the subject and the object is not removed yet. So the process of constructing of the center of the self begins in this stage. It's only, I say, it only begins here. It begins with the mirror state inside imaginary stage. It only begins here. It's not concrete yet. It's not concrete. So the object is apparently still a part of the subject. It's still a part of the subject. Mother is still an important figure that gives identity to the child, because the child is still biologically and emotionally dependent. Only the name of the mother will make the child react because of emotions. Only the name of the mother will make him, will recall him the biological dependence he has on the mother. So therefore, this blurring of the distinction between the subject and the object has not gone yet completely. It's still the child between 0 to 1.5. How does Lacan read all this? Despite the subject-object use of subject and object words for child and a mother, there are other terms that he makes use of, also coming again from Saussure. The terms are signified and the signifier. Where do these terms come from? From Lacan, from Saussure. And what do they refer to? The signifier will be the child, and what he sees in the mirror is the signified. What do we study in structuralism? That is signified always satisfying. Is it always the real thing? Say, for example, what we do in structuralism when we teach Saussure, we say that if I said in class, I said pen, I ask each one of you in the class, what image did come in your mind? Anika, I said pen, what image came in your mind? Anika, Faisal, I said pen, what image comes in your mind?
कैप के बगैर पेन जो ऊपर से खाया होता है।
Anika, Kofia, Mahina.
Ma'am, maybe to write something?
Yeah, what kind of a pen? Which pen came in your mind? Give me the exact image that's in your head right now when I said pen.
मैम या तो ऐसे जो उसकी कैप है पीछे से फोल्ड करके पेन के साथ, मे बी
वो तो
दैट
आप लिखा
इमेज।
हुआ देख रही हो इसलिए यही बता रही हूँ. Can you tell me if I
नो
said pen, think of a pen, what image comes in your head? Kofia, think of a pen. Give me the image. Anika says ballpoint. Kofia, Mahina, Mehek, Sahiba, Samya, flare ritometer. I love that pen.
मैम जी मैम मेरे हाथ में बस वही
Samya, okay. The कैसा है? What kind of a pen is there in your hand?
जेल पेन
Sorry,
मैम जेल पेन
gel pen. So therefore, we found out that a single signifier may not always have one signified, but there can be so many signifieds, and still some signifieds are coming in. I don't know why, but Apsara pencil. Okay, Apsara pencil, the black one. I used to love those pencils, and not the ones that they have now. I don't like them. Or a fountain pen. So did you see how many signifieds can be there for a single signifier? I said pen and there can be so many signifieds. So all heads working, there can be different signifieds. Therefore, we say when we say a signifier child is looking into the mirror, the image signified is not yet clear cut. It's only a signified that's not complete. It's an alienated image. Alienated image because it's not complete, it's not whole. The child recognizes himself in parts. He recognizes his hands, he recognizes his limbs, he recognizes that he has some power of movement in them, but he does not recognize himself as a whole yet. Similar to the thing we did with pen, it may not always have a signified single signified. Similarly, this child does not in these images have a complete signified that will give him complete gratification and satisfaction. Clear? So what happens in this alienated image that the child generates finally? It gives him a misrecognition of the self. It's not the correct recognition that he gets of his self, but a misrecognition because image is only a signified. And we never trust the signifieds in post-structuralism. Saussure says one signifier has one signified, but post-structuralists say there cannot be a single signified of any signifier. So therefore, the image that the child generates of himself is a misrecognition of itself. It does not actually experience uh, a pleasing unity. It does not find a pleasing unity from the body that he sees in the image, which means he does not gain pleasure of unity in the signified that he sees, which actually there is in the signifier. Only if he recognizes what signifier is looking into the mirror, he would get this pleasure of unity, and it would be called a complete proper recognition. But what we call this signified is misrecognition. Is that clear? It does not actually experience a pleasing unity in its own body, which is the signifier that looks into the mirror. If the child recognizes the signifier that's looking into the mirror, it would be a pleasure of unity, and that would be clear recognition of the ego, and that would be clean creation of I, and that's where subject object differentiation will not be blurred. Is it clear? I'll not go into the details of anything else other than imaginary stage today, because then it becomes extremely confusing, because this is linguistic psychoanalysis. It's not very easy. Linguistic psychoanalysis, I'll give you something to read for today, or you can go and check yourself on Wikipedia what is mirror stage and what is imaginary stage. Only imaginary and mirror stage. Do not read anything other than that. Only if you want to confuse yourself, you can. Any questions? I take the questions now.